I think we are recording.
Great, thank you.
But yeah, so yeah, we can call you guys.
We still have a few people joining, so I'm going to give it just a little bit more time before we get started. Again, if you're just signing in, please go to the link that Daryl has put in the chat to sign in for the meeting. All right, it looks like it slowed down a little bit. It's actually 10:01. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order of the ESInet users group on October 11th already, 2023. Again, as a reminder, please sign in to the meeting. There's a link in the chat that Daryl has provided. All right, and Daryl, do you mind putting the agenda up? Thank you. Okay, we can get started. I'll say it one more time because we had a few more people join. So please click on the link that Daryl put in the chat and sign in for the meeting. Otherwise, we'll get started and we'll start with the project update. And Tracy Dillow, that'll be you.
Fantastic. We'll get that open here. Kind of dwindling down for the end of the year, which is great. Two items that are still open that we're tracking. The top one there is the Pitkin and Vale call routing. This one is still between the PSAP and Motorola. Motorola is the CPE vendor. And there are, I don't know if it's changes to existing equipment or if updated equipment's needed, but we've been told by Motorola that there is something within the CPE that needs to take place before Entrado and Lumen can step in and assist with this routing. So we are still waiting on that one. I don't know if anyone is on the call from Pitkin or Vale that can give us an update, but that's the latest and greatest from Motorola.
I can talk to that. This is Brett with Pitkin.
Hey, Brett.
How's it going?
Great.
So this morning at 2 a.m., our MO network between the two centers went down, which the crux of this issue is when we went to the ESInet, Entrado and Lumen did not set up our ESInet correctly, and it is delivering to Vale and then transferring across this MO network to our center. 2 and almost a half years later, we're still in the same situation. It's not just a Motorola issue. Motorola picked it up because Entrado and Lumen failed to provide the correct setup and service. Because it's a MO issue, it falls into Lumen's business maintenance. It started at 2 o'clock this morning. We have told it won't be a resolution until at least 2 o'clock this afternoon. So it's a 2-hour outage for us, although Lumen will not consider this an outage because it's being delivered. Giant problem still.
So Brett, is it our knock that you guys have been working with? Because I didn't receive anything on this. Do you know?
Jeremy just stepped out. He was
okay.
He's the one that's been up since 2 in the morning dealing with it. But we've had the same issue over 5 days worth of outages because of this setup in the last 12 months.
Okay.
And the problem is they consider it not a 911 issue, so there's no priority, there's no urgency, and Vail gets stuck taking our calls, causing a delay in service. There's just no priority at all, and it's been lingering forever. The last part of this, the last 4 months, is on Motorola. We've been trying to work with them to get some different routing set up, but the root part of this cause is Lumen and not holding Intrado accountable. And so Motorola had to revise their setup because of this. I've asked Motorola today to separate us out. We're not going to continue with this geodiverse setup. And we want all of our 911 calls delivered to Picken.
Okay.
Which is what we've been asking for 2.5 years.
So it sounds like we need to maybe get together both internally at Lumen with Intrado and pull in you guys and Motorola too to see where we stand, because I haven't gotten an update on this one in a while. And I don't know, I know this started way back before Andrew joined the Colorado team, so I don't think he has anything to add either. But Andrew, if you do, feel free to chime in. I think we just need to regroup and get together. Because the last piece of information I got from both Vicki and Nancy was that we were waiting for the CPE to be updated, and it does not sound like that's the only issue.
Right. I mean, the crux of the issue is Lumen doesn't recognize anything coming into the PSAP if it's not directly 911 related. And that's a systemic issue that I don't know how to solve, but
okay.
All of these outages, which is what they are caused because we get sent to a business maintenance line and wait days and days for this problem to get fixed, even though it's affecting our 911 system.
Okay. Do you know, and I think you said someone's been up quite a while with this. Do you guys have a ticket number or anything that was opened with us?
Yeah, sorry. Let me find Jeremy, and he's got all that information.
Okay, because I mean, Jeff and I and Andrew can follow up after this. It would help me if I had a ticket number, but I'm sure someone on my team can hunt it down if he doesn't have it easily available. Because like I said, I don't usually get emailed on the notifications, so I'll need to go to the NOC and ask them what's happening. And aside from that, like I still think we need to get together internally and then reach back out to you guys and see what next steps can be. Because I know it's been on here for a long, long time. This was an issue, I think, when I joined the team, so it's been a while. I just didn't know that there was something on our end that still needed to be discussed.
Yeah, and Tracy, this is Rich Johnston. Include me on that too. I'd like to get the details on this. And just, Brett, for your benefit, we're deployed with, I mean, literally hundreds of PSAPs are deployed on multi-node geodiverse solutions where we don't have a problem. So I want to dig into this and see what's going on here. You shouldn't be going through this. So let's see what's going on, Tracy.
Okay.
And Brett, this is Jeff Winkleman. Your comment in regards to it being on a MO and not being referenced as a 911 issue. This has been brought up in the past also in other areas as well, and there are efforts to correct that. The fact that you have to call into a business area, that's always a challenge, and that's something that is being worked on. So just you're aware of that.
Okay, thanks everyone. We just want our calls delivered to us.
Yep.
All
And
right.
Tracy, I don't have any more info on this, but I concur about us getting together internally and then reaching out to the customer.
Yep, I will get that set up this week. Rich, I'll include you and the Lumen team, and we'll have something to report back. Like I said, I need to dig into it more to see, but we can certainly share with Brett and Jeremy what we find out.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Matt, I see you have your hand up. Give it just a second. Kimberly, you had your hand up before, and I'm not sure if the notification just went down or if you lowered your hand.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. I did. I took it down. I guess I just am a bit confused on this one, and so I'm wondering if this committee couldn't look at like an as-built that you have for that area, Brett, to take a look at where it's being delivered, because we obviously are a node supporting remote, but where we're transferring 911 calls and delivering them, that's our network and our responsibility. So I'm just trying to see from an ESInet perspective, a 911 outage that may be helpful as this conversation progresses, probably to the outage committee, of what responsibility is in Toronto and CenturyLink from a 911 provider, and what responsibility is in your contract with CenturyLink for your business Mo connection. Separate but critically important. So I was just trying to get my head around your deployment. So maybe that could be delivered to Kathy or something so the group could look at it.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you guys need.
Yeah, that would be great, Brett, if you don't mind sharing that.
So just so I'm clear, what exactly do you need us to do?
Yeah, maybe something that Johnny can draw up that has like where your SIP sessions are demarked and then your connection between your PSAPs. I'm assuming that the connection is your Mo between your diverse PSAPs of what you're trying to do in your delivery. So just kind of like where the outage is occurring and what's down. And is that in your private contract for your Mo? Because the SIP sessions are being delivered, I think, over a T1 connection. So where are they being delivered to? And so is the outage occurring on your private contract with CenturyLink for that Mo connection between your two PSAPs?
Yeah, so so that's what it's doing, and that's the problem that we've had in the past. But from the very start, we asked for it to be set up, and it was set up this way before we went to the ESInet. We want our calls delivered to us, not through Vail, and that's the crux of the problem.
So this is Jeremy, kind of not to get real technical in the issue itself, but what happened when they set up, because of the geodiverse solution between Vail and Pitkin County, when Entrado and Lumen got together, they set up a geodiverse solution and routing on their side for that delivery. And so the default route to that ESInet gateway for Pitkin County is always Vail. And so the only way that they will see to deliver to Pitkin County is if Vail disconnects their gateways. And then it will fail over on Lumen's side or Entrado's side to deliver to Pitkin County through that reverse connection. They are not willing to separate that out or work with the phone vendor in separating that out.
Got it. That's really helpful. And so that definitely clarifies of this being a core delivery of the 911 SIP sessions to your PSAP.
Yep. Thanks, Kimberly.
Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, a question for Jeff Winkleman. You mentioned something, I think I heard something about even though these are business Mo circuits, for certain cases where they're used for 911 or say dispatch radio, you're looking at somehow adding a classification that raises priority restoration for them.
I wouldn't say necessarily priority restoration. I think we've talked about this in the past. The ability to put TSP on any POTS line circuits is always there. That will help with the event of restoration above and beyond anything else. The point that I was making is that the challenge that we've seen over years is that when you have this scenario to where not necessarily even a Mo circuit, but you have your non-emergency lines for a PSAP and you have issues with those and you call those in, it's been a challenge. And that's the point that's being addressed, is that there should be one number that you call in to say, hey, this is our problem. So that's what is being addressed at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else on that? I think we know what needs to be done, or at least to get it started. So if you want to continue on, Tracy, that'd be great.
Fantastic. The next one on here has also been on here for a while, 911 transfer capability across state lines. When I came on board, this had been put on hold until the ESInet migration was complete, which we now know that it is. It has been for a while. Daryl did provide contacts, thank you very much, to us for each state, so we know who to talk to for Wyoming, Utah, etc. We have a meeting with Tim Kunkelman later this month, and then we'll pull an Intrado. This isn't something that can't be done. I mean, it is something that can be designed. The issue is going to be who the ESInet provider is. I'm told it's simpler to go ESInet to ESInet, so some states can be quicker than others. Places like Wyoming, which is, I know, kind of critical, where we'd like to be able to transfer from Colorado to the Wyoming border. Wyoming is not NG 911. So the problem you'll run into, particularly with that state, is not only a project plan needs to be put in place, but funding needs to be available as well. So there is a cost to this, and we're going to kick it off internally. I know Kevin Newton is going to help us on our side from a technical standpoint. Jeff will be involved, and definitely Tim, to kind of lay out what is necessary. Then we'll pull in Intrado, and then after that, we can kind of reach out to the individual state contacts. My guess would be we're going to start with the easiest ones first, right? I think it's Kansas and Nebraska are on ESInet. The others might be a little more difficult. Some of them are out for RFPs, and we just need to kick off the conversations, but we are doing that internally this month.
All right, sounds good. Think we are ready to move on. Okay, next is the ECATS deployment update. Tracy, are you handling that as well?
Yeah, I can. I don't think Tim is on, and
I didn't see him.
yeah, we are actually rolling along with that. We're working with Intrado. We do have some PSAPs that have had the ESInet installed. The equipment's been shipped out. The techs have been out. They're connected, starting to run and see their reporting, which is great. Intrado is, scheduling is as quickly as possible. I know we have PSAPs scheduled through October, and they are also taking the lead on any training that may need to be done at each PSAP location. We've probably done 12 to 15 one-on-one phone calls, because different locations have different questions about how to fill the forms out. In some cases, we're reaching out directly to the IT representation at each PSAP to get what we need. So I think it's moving along. I would stress out there, if there are any of you that have not yet completed your paperwork, because we still have lots. I think we have less than 24 PSAPs that have given us their information. So if you have questions or we can help you with the forms, text me, call me. I will set up a meeting. It takes 10 minutes with Intrado. Usually that takes care of all your questions, and the forms can get sent in and we move right along. This is something that we had hoped to roll out within the next 6 months. So we definitely want to help you guys fill out that paperwork.
Okay. Brett, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, we're the troublemakers today. We talked to the state ECATS guy yesterday. We have the equipment, but we ran into some issues. So wondering if other centers have been able to overcome this or not. And I'll let Jeremy explain what the problem is.
So kind of the issue that we're running into is there was not really any explanation in the setup and installation of the information they were gathering. They're looking for a call detail record, obviously to get the SIP sessions and the information for that in the capture itself. But the detail provided from the text is basically was the plug-in for an alley spill kind of configuration. What we're running into in working with Motorola on this is being geodiverse, how we accomplish that CDR spill on the Vesta side of the house based off of active side and everything else. We've run into that some with the reporting options that Vesta has already. It all captures regardless of one side or the other. It all captures to one, capture server, and we filter out that information on either side for our own internal reporting. And so the question I had for the technician was, How do we accomplish that? Because we're going to have Vail side of the house, or they're going to have our side, depending upon the active server. And so how does that work through? We've also reached out to Motorola just to get some clarification on that as well. But we were curious if anyone else in the group has configured this yet.
I'm not hearing anything, Brett.
It's like, no.
Yeah, sounds like we're going to push through. And I told Motorola we don't mind guinea pigging this to work through it because, you know, we've got the experience and the support here to do it. Right now, our ECATS is just set up off of a cat alley spill, but that's not the right configuration. And so we're going to need to go back. But we definitely want to make sure that people understand that they're not looking for that cat alley spill. They're looking for a call detail record. There's a difference in how that's processed between a Viper solution and a Vesta solution. So it's a little easier to set up on a Viper, but just want to make sure everybody knows that that's what they're looking for. So when you get into that configuration.
All right, thanks, Brett. Jennifer, go ahead.
Yeah, before we move on from this topic, I think Jody Chin from Gunnison had a question for Lumen on ACATS implementations.
Okay, I was just going to bring up, is that the questions about equipment that I've got on the agenda? Or is it something else?
Well, no, the questions about equipment is
Yeah.
we still didn't get clarity about whether or not they have the information that they need for the data that Matt Gage pulled. But I'll let Jody go first.
Okay, Jody, are you on?
I am. And so I apologize. I had to step out to the floor. So are we talking about the ECAT deployment? Yes. Okay. So the issues that we had is we got sent Jackson County's equipment. And Jackson County got sent our equipment, which in itself wasn't too much of a problem for us. However, when I got a phone call randomly last Tuesday night from the ECATS installer, he advised that he was up in Jackson and he had our equipment and he needed to come down that night and install our equipment, pick up Jackson's and take it back. My frustration with this is that I had reached out when we received it a week and a half prior and said, hey, what do we need to do with this equipment to keep everything on track? The reason that this was a problem for me is my CPE tech and my IT were not available. And I mentioned that they were not available. So then we also now have a tech in here at 6:30 at night trying to install and deploy. I have no way to connect him with anybody because nobody is available. And now he's in on a time that we weren't planning on having him. So I have this ECATS equipment in my back room, not hooked to anything because I had no availability. And so that was a little bit frustrating for me. It was a little bit frustrating for him and a little bit frustrating for our team with what was going on. So that's just my concern. And moving forward, I don't want anybody else to have to deal with that. So I thought I'd bring it up to this group.
Thanks, Jody. Kimberly, go ahead.
Well, and just to add on that, so this group knows we are regionalized with Jackson, so we've taken over that county and that PSAP, and so we were obviously impacted by that, mobilizing personnel to be there to know that the equipment had the wrong, it was shipped incorrectly, and then the tech wasn't able to re-IP it. And then we had to mobilize personnel for the second day to try and get that equipment installed. So very disconnected, impacting several people, as Jody just pointed out. So I don't know what the ECATS team can do to make sure that the techs have the skills they need. If they needed to re-IP a unit or to coordinate differently, so we're not wasting our resources and standing by.
All right, thank you, Kimberly. Tracy or anybody, any thoughts on that? I have not heard of this from any other agency. I don't know if Daryl or Jennifer have heard anything, but that just seemed to be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything either. I can reach out to our coordinator at Entrado. It was my understanding that we were scheduling a tech to come out at the convenience of the PSAP. So, but if there's a mix up in the shipping and you get the wrong equipment, then obviously that gets shuffled around a little bit. But we should be scheduling this when all of the correct people are available. So if that's not happening, we can work with Entrado and follow up and see what happened. I get a copy of the schedules, and when I see them, it looks like the correct people are included. So I'll have to circle back and find out what happened. I don't know if it was just, a one-time issue, or if it's happened to your point with others. I haven't heard of this.
Okay, Jody, go ahead.
And I think that falls back to, and Tracy, you were on the emails that I was corresponding with Courtney, where I indicated that we had the wrong equipment, and also that the time that they had asked to schedule was not convenient for us, yet they went forward anyway. And I think that's the problem, is it felt like this was being very much pushed on us. It felt like it was being very rushed. And so now me as a PSAP, I'm left with a piece of equipment that I have no idea when I'm going to start being billed for it, but it is not hooked to anything because the tech showed up on a time that did not work for us.
Right.
Because I had no CPE tech here. I had no IT here. And so we couldn't get all of the pieces, but what was I supposed to do? The guy was in here. He was in Jackson County. He had flown in from Florida. He was driving from Jackson, which is not close to Gunnison, to install our equipment and pick up theirs. And so I kind of felt like my hands were tied, that I had to let him come in, because otherwise, poor guy he was so discombobulated with what was going on, and it surprised him. He didn't even know. So I guess my concern is that if we're supposed to be working with the PSAPs to do it at a convenient time, that didn't happen for us. It didn't happen for Kimberly. So I think it needs to be brought up to Entrado.
Yep, absolutely. And I had thought that they had rescheduled that when it was convenient. To address you won't be billed for this until it's installed and working. It's not something where the billing kicks off when you get the equipment. That's not how it is set up to work. So that's definitely not going to happen. But I thought that this had been rescheduled for you guys. And we typically don't have the Entrado team on this call that is scheduling these. So I'll have to ping them right afterwards. And Jody, I can reach out to you directly too.
Yeah, that's fine. I guess my question at this point, Tracy, for you is, for those who are just getting it installed and it's not hooked up, is this something I need to put a ticket in with Entrado? Do I need to put a ticket in with Lumen to complete the process? Because now I only have half a process complete.
No, it wouldn't be a ticket. I'm going to reach directly out to Entrado. We didn't set this up as ticket based on the Lumen side. So I'm just going to give the team over there a call after this, and we'll get back to you today.
Thank you.
Karina, I see you've raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit of our experience. Also wasn't, super smoothly, but so everyone's aware too, when the technician came out, he of course flew in, so he couldn't bring all his cabling with him and stuff. And what gets shipped to you is only a 10-foot and a 14-foot long cord, which is definitely not long enough for most places. So just be aware of that, and most likely, either the IT or the CP is going to have to provide a longer cabling.
All right. Thank you, Karina. Appreciate that.
Hey, Karina, which PSAP are you with? I'm sorry.
With Delta County.
Okay.
Matt, go ahead.
Why is Entrado not prepared on this cabling issue? I feel like that's unreasonable to shift all of these troubles back on the PSAPs.
I would agree with you on that, Matt. I think that the project is being run with Lumen and Entrado, and we need to, Jeff and I, dig into this on our side and see why the proper equipment isn't being brought out. It should not be left on the CPE vendor or the PSAP to have what we need to launch this.
Okay. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, we need to get that figured out so that it goes much smoother with the rest of the PSAPs.
I agree.
Okay. And it looks like Daryl is leaving us. Jennifer's going to take over. Once Jennifer has the agenda up, we'll move forward.
Hang tight. I'll be right there.
I am. We're all hanging.
But the next option or item was the strategic plan, if we are ready to move on from the equipment issues with ECAT's implementation. Hold on.
Okay, didn't we have the reports to go through?
Oh, that's right. 1 second.
We can do that pretty quickly. Let me just add on for the ECATS part, guys. Any PSAP out there, if you guys are experiencing any issues, don't wait until this meeting takes place next time. Shoot an email to Jeff and I, and we'll look into it for you. And then, we'll be your liaison between Intrado and Lumen and the PSAP and the project. So happy to jump in if we can make this easier for you guys. I can go ahead and look at the Splunk data where we're looking at performance. It's not out on the screen, but I think you guys have it loaded on your side. I love these because there's never anything exciting to report. We did have a jump there in September, but it's just because the node was busy. So we kept pinging it until we get through, which is what the process requires. That's the only reason that this chart looks a little skewed, is because of that one day. It took multiple attempts to get to the proper node. But on the rest of the slides, they're right where we want them to be. MOS by PSAP. This is our voice quality slide. Everything is 4 or above, which is what we require and hope to see every month. The ECMC, again, this is the Longmont, Miami. Again, anything that's a 4 or above is where it's supposed to be. So unless it drops, we don't have a whole lot to talk about on that one. If we look at packet loss percentage, tariff calls for less than or equal to 0.53. So again, on this one, everything is falling into place, both Denver and Miami. And then the last one that pulls up during this reporting is jitter. And this one, as we noted in the past, less than or equal to 20 milliseconds is what the tariff calls for. Lumen has to pull this in microseconds in order for it to even show up as detail on the chart. So that one, everything falls within tariff requirements as well.
All right. Thanks, Tracy.
Yeah.
So while I'm transitioning to the agenda, I have a question. In general, I've fielded several questions over the last couple of weeks about who at Lumen PSAP should contact when they have technical issues. Obviously, for outages in the moment, you're going to be contacting the NOC. But outside of in the moment issues, should we be contacting Tracy? Should we be contacting Jeff? Should we contact both? What would Lumen like to see, or who would Lumen like to see emails to in the event of issues?
So Jennifer, I guess, do you have an example of the issues? Because I know, our NOC is the 24/7. Jeff and I aren't. So if it's something that needed to be addressed immediately, I highly suggest the NOC. If it's general questions or something you would like us to look into, it would be myself and Jeff. But it really depends what the questions are. If you're having technical issues, even if it's not immediate, it would be the NOC.
Okay, Andrew, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a perfect example. Our outage that we had back on the 20th was caused by internal UPS failure. However, there was an ESInet element to it. At the moment, I had called Tim Kunkelman and then looped in Jeff, and have been trying to get something in the way of some answers and additional data, and it's been crickets. So that's one example. If that's something that needs to go to the NOC in the future, we can certainly do that. But I think the larger question is, for me at least, and I was hoping to have an update before this meeting, so I didn't have to call anybody out. So sorry, Ken, buddy, but we need a little bit of information so that we can troubleshoot and make sure what happened the last time doesn't happen again. And that requires our partner of Lumen coming to the table and you know, if they don't have the information, saying, hey, we will have it to you by this date, or hey, we will schedule a meeting on this date. But that is not happening. So if that's something that needs to be managed through the NOC, then I guess I need to understand how that information is going to be kind of passed along through the chain within Lumen.
This is Jeff Winkleman. I think I can add to what Tracy was saying. If it's service impacting, I agree with Tracy. We want to have you go to the NOC directly. But anything else, and specific to your point, Andrew, I'm going to be reaching back out to Tim when we're done here to find out where we're at with that. But anything beyond that, and Andrew Fruvert, I'm going to throw you under the bus here. Sorry, but for you guys to reach out to myself, Tracy, and Andrew, I think would probably be the best course of action to take. You're going to hit the three people that will have the most impact, that will be able to reach out to the right group to take care of whatever issues you may come across that aren't service affecting immediately.
Right. And even to that, Andrew is notified of tickets that go into the NOC. So that's probably the best place to go. You know, we talked earlier today about the ECAT issue. That's a totally separate project. So that would not have anything to do with our NOC. That's definitely myself and Jeff. But anything that's service impacting, the best way to do it is to open a ticket with the NOC, let them know what's going on. And then that is filtered down through the Lumen team.
Okay.
Can the three of you put your emails in the chat just for clarity's sake and to make sure we all have them?
Yeah.
By all means.
And would you also throw the NOC information in chat too, so I can program it in my phone?
Joe, go ahead.
Have the PSAPs not been provided a sheet or a card with a list of contact people and numbers and emails, and you know what type of who they go to for different types of issues, such as ECATs and other issues that might come up?
I know that I can speak to that, Joe. I've handed out and sent, and I think it was actually added to the website, the escalation chart that we've got internally for the PSAP community.
Is that, Jeff, where we have like sales, engineering, product management?
Right.
Yeah. Kathy or whoever would like it, I can send that to you guys and you can distribute it internally if you'd like. We do have an escalation list where like your first level for sales is Jeff. And then if you need something else, who his manager is. For myself in program management, it would be me, and then it would go on to Cindy Berry. But that would not include service impacting issues. That should always go to the NOC.
What website is that on?
Are you talking about the escalation paperwork I just said I would send in?
Yeah, but Jeff also said it was posted to a website, and I don't know if the PSAPs know what website that would be on.
I'll have to pull that. I gave the information to Daryl, and he had uploaded that, so I can't remember which link it was. I'll see if I can find it here quickly.
And Kathy, don't you guys have like a primary one-stop shop for information, or is that something different?
I think that Daryl and Jennifer may have some information. I'm not sure if we have everything, but I do see this information in the chat now.
And this is Jennifer. I'm still learning my way around our resources. However, I'm not aware of a one sheet description that was just described, posted anywhere on our websites. So if you provide it to us, I will be happy to find a home for it.
Yep. I will send that to you today. Like I said, it includes anything that would not be service impacting. Service impacting, you know, Jeff provided the 800 number in the NOC. That's the best way, because somebody's going to get that ticket information immediately, whereas Jeff, Andrew, and I may not, you know, especially if something comes in on a, you know, Saturday afternoon or something. I probably won't see an email till Monday.
I found it's on the resource page, and I just put the link in the chat.
So Jeff, that's that dedicated account team sheet?
Correct. It's the contact/escalation list.
Okay.
Kimberly, you raised your hand first. Go ahead.
I did. Thanks, Kathy. And that's all great. But I think what we also need, Lumen team, is those escalation points for service impacting issues. So no secret, we've had issues with the NOC, and we've had issues reaching out to the NOC 1-800 number. And then even when we're engaged with personnel, that we are not getting a response, or we're not getting a timely response, or even an appropriate response for the issue. So we do need an escalation point if we're not getting items handled within the NOC, that we're able to escalate it to a chain of command within that support team. So if you could possibly take a look at that chart and add some of those. I mean, I have contacts, but I don't, a lot of them have left the company. So that would be my request, just from a service impacting escalation chart, to get that updated.
Okay. So Kimberly, let me take that on for you. We've had some changes in our NOC as well. So I will reach out to the NOC manager and see, you know, if the 800 number isn't working, because I'm well aware that you guys have had issues there too, what the escalation path is, and I will see what his guidance is on that.
Thanks, Tracy. That would be awesome.
Of course. And
Matt,
Jennifer,
sorry, go ahead.
do you want me to send that to you, Jennifer? So everyone.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Matt, you had raised your hand. Did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to point out the document that Jeff Winkleman already shared in the contacts, but there's also a separate sheet that we received from Jeff for the Lumen network repair, 911 repair contact info.
Oh, during their business review?
Yeah, I think it was the second page, third page, or
Right. Well,
first page.
I'll work with that, with Tracy on that. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Right on.
And Tracy, real quick, not sure if you saw it, but Brett put the ticket number in the chat for the Pitkin Vale issue.
I did not.
Outage.
Thank you very much.
Kimberly, your hand's up, but I'm not sure if that was from before.
I'm sorry. I'll take it
That's
down.
okay.
Nothing else.
Okay. Thank you.
So Jeff and I will sync up later this afternoon and follow up on all these action items and get something sent out to Jennifer so that she can distribute it to everybody else.
That would be most helpful. Thank you. Okay, anything else on that topic? All right, moving along, moving up to old business, the strategic plan revision update. So I had reached out to the wonderful team that said that they would review the plan, and that was Matt, Joe, Jeff, Andrew, and myself. We have some comments back. We still have some people that need to look at it. So that's where we are right now. I really don't want to share it or go through it until we have everybody's comments back. Hopefully we'll have this done by the next ESInet users group meeting in November. Any questions on that? Okay. Next, parking lot documents. If you want to open, can you open the parking lot, Jennifer? Open the gate. Okay. So we have kept some of these issues or ideas in the parking lot. We're going to keep them there for right now unless somebody feels that it's a good time to bring them out and start working on them. Looks like we have 6 so far. Anybody have anything they want to discuss regarding these? Okay, and we'll go back to the agenda. Okay, new business. This was added to the agenda. Andrew spoke about it a little bit. There was an issue where they had a power outage at Denver 911. It took them approximately 30 minutes, and Andrew, feel free to pipe in, but it took them about 30 minutes to get over to their backup center. Unfortunately, during that time, their calls were not rerouted to JeffCom as they are supposed to be. This has been brought to, I know, at least Tim Kunkelman and Jeff Winkleman's attention. We're looking for an update on this. Andrew also stated that he apparently hasn't heard anything. So Jeff, not to throw you under the bus, but you're the one that I spoke to about it. So I'm going to ask you if there's an update. Jeff Winkleman.
Sorry, my mute button was working really well. I'm reaching out to Tim to find out where we're at with that. I know the last request that came from Andrew from Denver was to have a meeting of this Friday, and he gave his time as far as their availability. So I need to find out where we're with Tim to make sure we have the right resources on it. So unfortunately, I don't have anything beyond that.
Okay. I'm just a little, it's just a little concerning because if I recall correctly, Andrew said this happened on the 20th. We're now October 11th. So we've had 21 days go by and still not knowing why this happened. I think we need a little bit, just something, just telling us what happened with this, because it's a pretty big deal. So do you have any idea how soon we're going to know, or if there's going to be a meeting?
Well, from what I can see, that there is going to be a meeting. Like I said, I want to make sure we have the right resources, but Tim has been running with this, so I don't want to sidetrack anything he's been doing. So I'm sending him a message right now to see what we've got. And if I can, I'll get a status before the end of the meeting. Okay.
All right, Andrew, do you have anything you want to add or talk about?
I mean, I guess the only thing that would be, I think, of value to everybody. So the actual power outage was caused by the last few construction gremlins from our new facility that we had never had an opportunity to test. And so we found that some of the, there were inputs and outputs from our UPS that were mislabeled. There were a few issues that appear to have been missed back in 2018 when we were building out this building, and these just had never had to be tested before. We did find out that we can run on UPS in this kind of, it was limping along and kind of complicated, but we were essentially on UPS for 5 days and didn't know it. And so when the battery ran down enough, it tripped a PDU, which knocked out every single workstation in the center and our entire Viper server stack. Again, an engineering error, because a single PDU should not be able to knock out everything. So we're working through some kind of re-engineering things on our end. The distressing thing is, not only did the transfer to Jeffcom not occur, but for about 30 to 40 minutes, anyone dialing 911 in Denver actually heard a busy signal. So that's the piece that we're trying to get to the bottom of, and that we need Lumen's help to kind of figure out what happened.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. Jennifer, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I just want to add to the conversation that Kit Carson County experienced a similar routing issue right after Denver did. Their cause was different, but they experienced a situation where their routing plan did not go into effect. And so I really would like to have Lumen prioritize the resolution or the information sharing of what happened to both Denver and Kit Carson, so that we can make sure that we're taking steps to ensure it doesn't happen again.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Jeff, is that something that you guys can put on your to-do list, your agenda?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Anything else to talk about that last topic? Okay, Jennifer, I think you're up next with the notification issue from the weekend.
Yes, and my background noise might get loud here. I apologize, I'm having tech issues today, but I know that I've been in contact with Tim Kunkelman, and I think Jeff Winkleman is aware as well. But the issues that occurred over the weekend, aside from the issues that technically impacted the ESInet, the notification, I believe I've been told, is a glitch. But the notification system out to the PSAPs caused a nuisance amount of either emails or phone calls or both to the PSAPs. That is one issue. Then the technical issues that impacted the ESInet, while not technically considered an outage, we did have several PSAPs that experienced connection issues where there was a delay in connection of 911 calls. We had PSAPs experience calls that did not go through. We had PSAPs experience problems transferring 911 calls between PSAPs. There was something else that they also experienced. And so I would like to hear, and I understand that you may not know everything that happened this weekend, but I'd like to hear from Lumen what exactly happened this weekend, what caused all of those nuisance notifications, and how do we proceed from making sure that we have a plan for next time.
This is Jeff Winkleman. I would have to defer to Andrew probably for that one. I don't have the details on it, unfortunately. Andrew, do you have anything?
I'm looking. I know that there was a Intrado issue that had impacts across multiple states, I believe. But yeah, I too received about 200 notifications, and then a lot of them said they were no impact.
While Andrew is looking, I'd like to take the opportunity to make Lumen aware that those notifications that did go out did not contain any substantive information. And so our PSAPs had no way of knowing that there were specific issues that may be affecting them or might be affecting other PSAPs. And so I was wondering if Lumen could work with the NOC to maybe put helpful or useful information into those follow-up emails or notifications, as well as labeling, that in the final notification, which I got copied on as well, by the way. I suffered everybody else's overload of email. The final notification, all it said was time of repair unknown. There was no resolution information, no explanation of what happened. And I think those emails and those notifications are an opportunity for Lumen to share information, what happened in the system, and be proactive about sharing what happened. And I'd like to see a little bit more of that if that can happen from the NOC. I'm also sorry to put Andrew on the spot, but I did talk to Tim about this and the fact that we were going to talk about this on this meeting today. And I'm disappointed that he's not here.
And sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Andrew. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say the two points you brought up. I believe that yes, this outage is a perfect example to take to the NOC and illustrate that the notifications that go out, can be very helpful if they contain helpful information, and that's something that our account team will talk to them about, specifically with this outage. And what I saw post outage, and I agree with you, I didn't see a whole lot happening and being relayed during a lot of the notifications, but it does it looks like it was kind of like a load balancing issue with Intrado, and they ended up, I believe, rebooting a redirect server to completely clear the issues. That's all the information I have on it. But yes, we will take this as a specific example and work with the NOC to work on getting, you know, more quality information on the tickets and, you know, notifications that come out and go out, because that would answer a lot of questions and, you know, save us all a lot of wondering and give people a resource to, you know, diagnose issues that they're having that may not be affecting everyone else. So yes, I agree with you, and we'll take this back to them to try to affect a change that will be helpful to everyone.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree with Jennifer. I mean, because we currently have our internet's out, and we get that through Lumen, and we're getting better updates on that outage than we did this weekend from the 911 outages.
Okay, thank you. Well, hopefully we can see some improvement on that, because I think besides what happened, you know, this past weekend, we've had issues with that before. So we need to see something change there. And so we get, you know, on time and accurate notifications that have information in them that we're looking for. Anything else on that topic? Okay, Jennifer, you're up next again.
Okay, and I will make this quick, but even before we had the routing issues that we discussed earlier, I've been putting together a master list of each PSAP's contingent routing plans. Something we did in the Western Slope while I was still at Grand Junction was we got together as a region and reviewed our contingent plans to ensure that we weren't inadvertently rolling over to one PSAP multiple times. In the event that we had like 2 or 3 PSAPs going down, we weren't all rolling to the same one. And then ensuring that we all had backup plans. And it was extremely informative and helpful. I have a master list of each PSAP's contingent and abandonment routing plans, and I just wanted to find out if this group thought it would be helpful if I facilitated regional conversations like that around the state, to have those conversations, to examine the route plans, and just to make sure that that's not going to happen elsewhere. If you guys think that would be helpful, then I will proceed with organizing those. And if you don't think that that's needed, then I will stop that particular project.
Jeff, go ahead.
Jennifer, if that comes to fruition and that actually comes to, could you at least include myself and maybe copy Trace on that? I think it would be a good opportunity for us to be able to be in part of that conversation itself.
Absolutely.
Jennifer, this is Jeff. Can I comment?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Years ago, when I, became the manager at Jeffco, there just wasn't any continuity in communicating the need for those plans and what the purpose was and what have you. And I think it would be great for you to reach out and make sure that people understand what it's for and why it needs to be in place.
Thank you, Jeff. Does anybody else have thoughts?
Go ahead, Matt.
I'll second that. It was useful for the Western Slope. It's a good idea.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone else?
I think you're a go, Jennifer.
Great. I will move forward with that project, and thanks you guys. I appreciate it. The last thing I have to cover is just, I think many of you are already aware of this because we've announced it elsewhere. But Dora is planning on introducing or sponsoring a bill, or asking as one of their bills to be sponsored to in the legislature, to direct a bill to direct the commission to open a process by which we would collaboratively create minimum operational and training standards for the state of Colorado. And we are primarily doing this because we want to make sure that when the inevitable occurs and someone pays attention to the fact that we don't have that, we want the 911 community to have been the ones creating those standards, and not those who may not have as much interest or knowledge or experience in the 911 profession. So I just wanted to make sure that people were aware and not surprised when that bill comes out. And again, these standards would be voluntary, and there are no penalties that would be imposed for not meeting the standards. However, I'm confident that through the collaborative process, we would be able to develop those standards that would meet the needs for all PSAPs, as well as identify and inform any gaps that we have that PSAPs might need for funding to meet those standards. So I know we're pressed for time, and I will stop and take questions if anybody has any, and we'll be talking more about this at the task force meeting in November.
Anybody have any questions for Jennifer? Go ahead. Connie, right?
That's right. I just wanted to stack on what Jennifer's saying, that participation in the Training Standards Committee Institute is, I believe, going to be a major key to what they need for the bill and us having our voices.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. And as Jennifer said, we are a little bit pressed for time. It's 11:02. If there's nobody else has any comments for that, I'm going to move forward. Okay. Next, we have questions, concerns from PSAPs to Lumen. Anybody? Okay. And any open issues from Lumen to the PSAPs?
Nothing from Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, next is public comment. Any non-voting members are welcome to provide comments during this portion. Do we have any non-voting members that have something they'd like to bring forward? Okay, hearing none, looks like we're at adjournment. It is 11:02. Sorry that we went over. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and we'll talk to you next month. Thanks.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.